Hi everyone, it's day 4 of the Jaded Blossom December release, and I have a little card set to share with you today. Hi there, so I am using the new freebie, the Birch Tree Stencil, and I'll also be using Hello Winter and the Stitched Oval and the Scallop Oval dies. I'm using the Speckled Egg Distress Oxide ink. So here I've got the Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station, and I have a piece of 4.25 by 5.5 inch white Recollections cardstock. And I actually sprayed some stencil spray to the back of the stencil. Now, normally I don't do this, but these are long runs. So I was thinking I wouldn't be able to be very rough applying my ink. And you know, I'm pretty rough applying my ink. So I put on some stencil spray and it seemed to work really well. So now basically I'm just blending on this Speckled Egg Distress Oxide ink heavy-handed. And I'm using just a blender brush from, I think it's from Amazon. And yeah, so basically I'm just making my own pattern paper. And also, come to think of it now, by the end of this video, I do not use that stamp set that I mentioned. I end up bringing in a different stamp set. But that's neither here nor there, right? I change my mind during the process all the time. So there is my blended background. Now I do 4 of these. I'm only going to show you putting together of 1. So this is my stamp set that I decided to use. It's called White Christmas, and I'll be using the stamp Dreaming of a White Christmas. Now I'm also bringing in some patterned paper from We Are Memory Keepers. It's the Winter Frost set. Now it's an oldie but goodie. And I've had it in my stash forever. I've got the 6-inch pad, I've got the 12-inch, I have the matching cardstock, and basically this is the matching cardstock from that pattern paper. So all the paper except for the plain white paper that I use on this card are all from the We Are Memory Keepers Winter Frost line. So now I'm going ahead and I'm using my Misty, and I'm stamping with Ink on 3's Juicy ink onto this gray colored cardstock. It's a bit textured, so I stamp it a few times just to get a nice clear image, or sharp image. You saw I applied, I don't know if I showed you that, I applied the anti-static powder tool first to the paper. I'm also using my little dry erase tool and my fingers and everything else to try and get a great, you know, looking stamped image. Now I do this 4 times. I only show you the one. I use my Ranger white embossing powder. It's fine detail, and I always do it over a coffee filter just so I can funnel the stuff back into the jar. And there we go. And I also, and I realize that's pretty thick, so I do stamp it again. So that's what it looked like, but here's the new one. And now I'm going to be using my Marby heat tool, and I'm just going to be melting that powder. Now, of course, I'm out of the picture a little bit here. I'm trying to show it to you how cool it is when it melts, but you know, I'm half out of the picture. What can you do? But you know, part of it's there anyway. So it's always wonderful to watch embossing powder melt, and look how pretty that is. It's nice and sharp. So now this is a horizontal A2 size card, which I've made a couple of this time. I'm using Jaded Blossom's card mat dies. That is a 4 by 5.5 inch stitched rectangle die, and I'm using my tape gun to just apply ATG tape to the back of this piece of paper. Now that paper is also from the Winter Frost line, like I said. I just go over the edges, make sure, because I try to get as close to the edge as I can. I'm just making sure none of the ATG tape is hanging out, because that makes one holy mess. There we go. So now I'm just going to line that up. That card base is made with a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of cardstock, and I score it at 4.25 inches, and that gives you like a horizontal A2 sized card that's like you know, that opens from the top there. So it opens vertically, not horizontally, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I'm using my that's my scallop oval die, and it's in another color of cardstock that came with this paper line, that Winter Frost from We Are Memory Keepers. And I'm using my Gina K Connect glue. I'm just applying some glue to the back of this. And I'm using glue because it gives me a little bit of time to get it as straight as I can. It's a little tricky. There we go. So I'm just going to line that up. This is in real time. I didn't speed anything up, but you know, keep in mind that I did stop and start this video quite a few times, you know, to grab things that weren't weren't handy. And there we go. So that is my blended card background. And I cut it out with the stitched oval die from Jaded Blossom. And I'm going to apply that now to the center of this scalloped oval. And, you know, I really like the look of this birch, what's it called? Birch tree stencil. It's so pretty. You're not blending the trees. You're actually blending the background. So, you know, what's nice is that, you know, you can use some white cardstock and then you can blend your background, which is just, I don't know, I just find it nicer because if you're really making birch trees, they're kind of whitish gray. So, you know, you wouldn't want to be blending them. So now I'm adding my pine cone dies. Now this is all of the little, you know, greenery that goes with the pine cone dies, which is an adorable set, totally worth it. Now everything's been cut out of that Recollections white cardstock, the heavyweight card-based cardstock, I guess you'd say. So now I'm just quickly applying all of this greenery around the frame of this, you know, of my central image. So, you know, easy peasy. Like I always say, not rocket science. So I love all the texture that you get from all these different greeneries. They're just fabulous. I love them. And I'm, you know, applying glue, but I'm not being, you know, I'm not sticking it down so it's like flat onto the card base necessarily. Because, you know, it does give it a little bit of movement, a little bit of texture, and I'm not using any pop dots on this one, so no dimension from that. So the dimension is just going to be kind of honest dimension from, you know, the die cuts themselves. And, you know, it makes it kind of relatively flat, which is nice. So there we are. So now I'm just sort of sticking it down. I'm doing my little trick, you know, with my edges that I just take a little scrap piece of paper, I put a little dab of glue on, and I'll tuck some underneath, touch it to the back of the die cuts on spots that I want to stick down. And there, I love, this is my favorite little branch in this pine cone die set. It is beautiful. I love it, love it, love it. So now I'm going to apply a little dab of glue to each little berry and leaf that's coming off this little stick. You'll see why later. I want it stuck down quite well. There we are. And I'm just basically just applying some texture. I had so many ideas for this birch tree stencil. I kept thinking of different ways I can use it, and I decided just to go with this. I thought, well, maybe I'll make one of each, but I thought, no, that's going to just take too long. So I just went with the one design, and I made 4 of these cards. So, but I didn't show you me making all 4 because, you know, you've seen me make card sets a million times in the past. And I'm really, to be honest, I'm just trying to build up my Christmas card stash because I'm literally scraping the bottom of the barrel now. I've already sent my cards out. So if any cards come later that I'm not expecting, it's going to be a scramble. So I am trying to make sure I, you know, build up my stash a little bit. I do make some during the year, but mostly, let's be honest, most of us make most of our cards, you know, like say, November, December, right? So I'm just trying to, you know, make some more cards. There we are. So now I'm layering my pine cone dies. And like, this is so easy to do. You just got to love this set is just beautiful. So now I'm using a couple more pieces of these little greenery, and I'm going to stick them underneath my pine cone die, just to give it a little bit of interest behind the pine cone. You know, so I put a little bit of that Gina K Connect glue, and I'll attach it to the pine cone just to make it easy to stick down. You know, like I always say, it's kind of handier just to stick one whole piece down than have like, you know, stuff hanging all over the place. So that's why I tend to tape things together in the back before I apply them to the card, stuff like that. Well, this time I'm sticking it to the back before I apply it to the card. There we go. Oops, I'm going out of focus there. I had that glue in the way. So now I've got my EK Success tweezers there, and I'm just going to be applying this to my card base. Now you'll notice I'm still working on my Stampin' Up! Paper mat. I know it's not pretty, but let me tell you, it prevents all the glare for when I'm, filming. It's just the easiest. When I'm not filming, I really just work on my glass mat from Ranger. So now I'm pulling in Doodlebug acetate snowflakes. Now they come out with like odds and ends every year, and this one was a snowflake one, and it was just beautiful. And I pulled all the clear acetate snowflakes out of it, so I could use them on these 4 cards. So basically I pulled them all out, and I'm using them for this. So it's kind of fun. So now this is my sentiment. Now you notice that I'd already trimmed it out on the top and the bottom, and I used my Fiskars paper trimmer, the one with the little wire guide, just so I can get close and, cut it out as easily as I can. Now I'm trying to line it up with the lines on my mat. And I know I'm kind of right on the edge of the view there. So now I'm going to tuck this acetate snowflake behind my sentiment. So it's going to be actually the glue that holds this down. Now I used an ATG gun for this because I wanted it to be nice and, nice and strong, holding that snowflake down. There we go. So isn't that pretty? Dreaming of a white Christmas. So that's what I'm going for. So now I've got another snowflake. I'm only adding 2 snowflakes to each card. Now, I know I always say I like to add things in groups of 3. But the problem was that literally there were 11 white snowflakes in this container of snowflakes. I couldn't believe it. And I needed 12 because I'm making 4 cards. So I had to make the executive decision to only put 2, and then I'll count the pine cone as, I'll count the pine cone as my 3rd image on this card. I don't know. I think it turned out okay though. So now I'm adding some Nouveau crystal drops in Simply White. So, I know I've got a lot of texture going on there, but I'm going to add a little bit more. So this is, of course, it's my favorite. I always use my Nouveau crystal drops. And I'm going to add a drop to basically each berry. So it gives it a little bit of dimension and, and a little shine, and it'll look pretty. It'll look like little white berries. So now I'm just dabbing that on. And I love Nouveau crystal drops because they dome like perfectly. They're just great. So they're one of my favorite craft products that I use. So now I'm putting a droplet in the center of each snowflake. There we go. And isn't that pretty? I love how this turned out. Thank you so much for stopping by, everybody. Be sure to check out the Jaded Blossom blog and see what the design team came up with, for today. And be sure to come back tomorrow for our hop, because there'll be some wonderful inspiration as always. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon, everybody. Bye.